Meeting for West Warwick Pension Board is to come to order, May 14th, 2018, at 19:50 hours. We do the closing of first, right? We're gonna close the executive first.
Yeah, seal the minutes.
Motion to close executive session from today's date and seal the minutes, and confirm any votes taken.
I second the motion.
Motion made and seconded to close and seal the minutes and votes for the executive session today's date. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item B is prayer.
We need that today. We need it today.
No.
Yeah, we need it.
Dear Lord, give this board the power to make the right and just decisions they're about to make tonight. And for any past members that we have that have deceased, moment of silence for them also. Amen. Thank you.
I was gonna say, we might as well
Yeah.
be standing.
I couldn't prayer. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Albert Hero,
Here.
David Malloy,
Here.
Edward Fonseca.
Here.
Paul Bertrand, Colleen Anderson.
Here.
Brett Gill, Ralph Salmonese.
We have a quorum. Okay, item E is approval of minutes from previous meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes from March 27th and April 2nd, 2018.
I second the motion.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes for the previous two meetings. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Board council report?
I have a lot that's on the agenda. The only item that I have that's not on the agenda is I did receive a phone call from the Securities and Exchange Commission that they had a matter involving the West Warwick Public Pension Fund. He said it was an older matter, and he was informing me that they have concluded the matter and they are not recommending any action against the West Warwick Pension Board. And he sent me a letter to that effect.
We have no idea what that was for though, right?
I do not.
A quick look at their database, we couldn't pull it, I couldn't pull anything up out of their database.
Is that gonna be easy to find, or is that worth looking into?
We certainly can and see what the investigation was. The only information that we have is that based on the information that they have, they do not intend to recommend any enforcement action against the pension board. And,
Recommend to who?
to the Securities and Exchange Commission. It's the regional director from Boston that sends the letter. There's a Securities Act release that states that they're not in any way can this notice, I can't speak tonight, I'm sorry, that this notice must in no way be construed as indicating that the party has been exonerated or that no action may ultimately be result from the staff's investigation. The only information we have is that at this point they do not intend to recommend an enforcement action against the board.
Now, when they say the board, is that a figurative thing or the individuals at the time that were in place?
It's the entity.
Okay.
You know what date, Krista?
Doesn't say anything.
Nope. All I know is that I spoke to the gentleman and he said it was an old investigation.
Could be the Nico Securities back in the 90s.
Possible. I don't know what his definition of old
Down
is.
into the FBI.
Okay.
Well, what was that involved?
NICO?
I don't think we need to talk more about it.
NICO, Nico?
It's in the past. It's nothing to do with us.
Yeah, but it's not done yet, it
Yeah,
says.
but
According to that, there's no action taken.
No,
Yeah,
their
but-
recommendation.
No, is it a recommendation or no actions are gonna be taken?
They do not intend to recommend an enforcement action by the commission against the pension board.
There you go.
But does not,
Does not exonerate the board, now I'm summarizing, or say that no action may ultimately result. My understanding from speaking to the investigator was that they are closing the investigation, they are not recommending any action against the board, and that will be the end of their
So it's
involvement.
closed.
So who they're reporting to should probably take that. We don't know that.
So it's closed.
Do not know
She
that.
just said it's closed.
so you spoke to this person?
I did.
And he didn't tell you what it was for?
She just told me it was an old investigation regarding the pension board.
I think that could be it.
There's a case file though, correct? We have
Correct.
some way of determining what
I
it is.
have a name and a phone number, and I can certainly call him and ask what it involved. That was the information I was given, was that he wanted to close a loop. He was not recommending any action against the board, and he would email me a letter to that effect. Oh, sorry, mail me. And
And that's what we got.
that's what we got,
All right.
is this letter. And it just has RE in the matter of West Warwick, Rhode Island Public Pension Fund.
I do want to have maybe Tracy contact and see what she can find out. Just,
Yeah,
oh, by
let's
the
do
way,
that.
what's this
Yeah,
in regards to?
Sure.
Thank you.
just to, even though they're not recommended it.
You know what, I'm gonna get
It
that.
still
I
helps
wanna
to
make sure we
know,
don't, it's not gonna go further.
so we don't end up on the news.
The letter,
That's all I'm asking.
and let me write it down.
She can-
His name.
She can find out.
It's not the person who signed it.
Just call this stuff out right
No, I'm gonna give it to you.
You know what, so I don't
Yeah.
forget.
We don't want to be dealing with it
Maybe
Next
she'll know
year.
the date.
Right.
and not know what it is.
The date,
When-
when it was
when-
filed.
Yeah, when the,
Thanks.
Kind of like
So
John
we
Hancock,
can't
you
get
know?
blamed for it.
Yeah, I'll get the date.
why not?
filed.
We won't be on TV again.
Yes, we do.
What?
We'll dress up for this.
You look good though.
It's okay if they give you a notice?
Give me a notice, it's
Okay.
all right.
All right.
Put your tuxedo on.
And
Alright.
that's the only thing I had that is not on the agenda.
The rest of it's on the,
Yep.
okay. All right, item G is Rockland and Clearbrook monthly expenses. Rockland Trust, let's see, this from April 1st to April 30th. Beginning market value was $31,640,664.04. Market value change was $21,958.35. Ending market value was $32,348,943.39. And that was a gain of $455,315.81. That includes additions, withdrawals, incomes, fees, and so forth. From January 1st of this year to April 30th, the beginning market value was $31,639,322.30. The change in market value in that time period was a loss of $186,208.18 for an ending market value of $32,348,943.39 for a gain of $643,764.34. Any questions on that?
Did you state this?
Not yet.
Okay,
I'm just doing Rockland first.
got it.
Can we ask,
That includes the four,
What's that, please?
separate?
This is just, I gave you April 1st, April 30th, and then the second part was from the first of the year to April
That
30th.
includes the four separate funds that they have?
What's the amount on it?
It doesn't say, it says, additions, withdrawals, incomes, fees, security transfers, other, change in market.
32. So this would include all of them.
This is all you had on there. This was-
Right, but they don't include some of the alternatives because they're held separately, not in Rockland Trust.
So you gotta read.
Okay.
So that's the total market
Sorry
value of
about
all
that, I never,
assets.
I didn't have that, okay. Let's see,
It's basically just,
what are you looking for? What was the other section?
The alternative.
Alternative, okay.
They're on that page.
yeah, in can't read them though, unfortunately. 'Cause they're really dark. But the total,
Just read the total out.
just read the
I'm
total.
looking for it.
Yeah, no, could have been setting on the printer too. So unfortunately, the only one you can read is
Yeah.
the total plan.
There, what are you saying, the radio?
Yeah, well, yeah, 37, so
He emails it to me.
some of these are all the alternatives. Some of them are not included in Rockland's numbers. I
Okay.
don't know which ones,
Email was
but
alright,
this
but I
will
think
list
this
all.
time when it printed, the ink
That's our
is
total
dark.
loss, it's
You know
37.
what I mean?
So it's there, but we can't see it.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
But
printed
the
so
total's
dark.
on.
Oh, I see it right
See
here.
what I'm saying?
It's here, but because of the way the copy's done, you can't, I can just about see like Vanguard, I can't read anything else after that line, even though there's something there. I can't see any of the figures.
I'm gonna email it. I can email it to you.
Kevin too?
But just the total assets, according to Clearbrook, 37,484,382 as of April 30th. So if you take
That's yours.
Rockland's number of 32 million and just minus the two, those are those alternatives. 37,484,382. Yep.
Can we ask Rockland Trust, to be a little more specific about that additions line and let us know how much of that additions line is the town of West Warwick contribution?
Yeah. I know Lou used to have a breakdown of what employee contributions versus employer contributions. Yeah, I don't know how he used to get it, but he used to be able to see it. Maybe that's how he got it, and every month,
Alright, I can start.
because our breakdown just says additions, it doesn't,
You got employer contribution?
Yeah.
So that addition's his total of everything.
it's, yeah.
Oh, I-
So,
right. Employer contribution.
because some months you'll have additions are 3 million, well, that's because that was an ARC month.
All right, this is,
So do they do that every month, employer, or every quarter?
Employer, I think it's quarterly.
Quarterly,
Yeah.
I think.
Mhm.
I can still ask her for it. I can get the first quarter for next time.
well, the thing is,
Mhm.
this
And
is
then I
a,
want
this is a
monthly.
monthly statement though.
Yeah, but then I'm gonna get monthly employee contributions.
That's in the additions though, right?
I know, but I need the breakdown.
Yeah.
You can get that right from finance.
That's what I'm gonna do, just ask her to send it every
All right.
month.
School, wastewater,
Yeah,
municipal police,
You
fire,
guys have to do
and
the
town
town, right?
Yeah, we need I wanna know what the town contributions are, and the,
So it'll be schools and towns.
Right, there's the schools and the towns, these are
He
total
might have just done
Yeah.
that on his own.
He
I've
may have
never
done it on his own, 'cause
That's
I-
fine.
it never showed up.
I'll email finance and say once a month, give it to me at the end of the month.
yeah,
make
that you
my
can
agenda.
include it.
And once a quarter, employer. Employer, I don't think is monthly.
No, I don't
Okay.
think so.
Yep, that's fine.
Right, right.
But I agree with Russ, and how we can get a better understanding.
Breakdown,
And see if
yeah.
there's
Yeah.
anything that's not,
Okay.
that's not there, or is a question about what it is.
I think I have Rockland in my,
It was separate. I gave it came in at the last minute when I
oh,
opened
that's
the
right,
mail.
you said that.
I gave you a bunch of separate things.
I'm looking for it, here it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay, let's find out.
Alright, so I'll get that and then just,
Yeah,
Got
we
it.
wanna see that every month. I'll start putting that into
Okay,
a spreadsheet.
next one is Clearbrook. Clearbrook, actually, excuse the pun, but the black part is a little clearer. Total plan is 37,484,832, $382. That's 100% of it. The, total fixed income. Looks like $7,127,808. 800, I can't quite read all of that. Total alternatives, the other one. Can't read the total amount. You can see some of the breakdowns. I can't, it looks like a 6, but I can't be sure. Tracy,
I'm
does
gonna
this
have
come?
to email it to you. It's
does-
never been like this, like David said, it must have been the way he sent it to me. I don't know.
When you get it as an email, is it clear?
I just printed it, I didn't really look at it.
So,
I think when it's
we don't know
emailed,
if it's the way he sent it or if it's a printer?
I'm gonna be honest with you, I think it was clear, cause I sent this to finance to do a report, and she didn't say anything. I sent it via email.
usually it's emailed in color and it's really
Yeah.
easy,
Yeah.
but
It might have been the way he did it.
this is
in
just black and white and it's really,
So
really
it's
dark.
dark.
So it just,
Do you have a way of printing it in color or where?
well, usually,
I could just, I probably could print it, I don't know if I could print it in color.
Because that might be the problem, the color part is,
I think
the
it's the way
machine's
he
just
sent
taking
it.
the
I think it's
black and
just
the
too-
grays and mixing them all up.
yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, see?
How long before the meeting do you get these figures? Before this meeting?
Rockland,
These figures he's just reading from Clearbrook and.
Oh, you mean when I send the agenda?
Yeah, well, the figures that you just read.
The end of the month, it's usually like a week or
You get
so
them a
after.
week before the meeting? Or you get
Usually.
them the day of?
Well, usually it's based on the month.
Today I got Rockland today, because it came in the mail. Clearbrook I printed before I sent the agenda about a week ago.
It's usually within the first week or so of the month, because they're basing the numbers on the previous month.
So I get it when I make it in the
So I think
packet.
it was last month's meeting was early, right? Didn't we?
Last month's meeting.
So we didn't
Right,
have,
we didn't have that one.
we didn't have
See,
anything
you
last
have
month.
looked at them.
Yeah, I know, but wouldn't it be nice that if you had these figures a week before, you could all look them over and say, hey, they're clear, they're not clear?
Well, like I said, in the email,
In
yeah.
the email, they came out clear.
that's
Actually,
how I remember them. You
I
had
sent
no
them
problem reading them.
about a week ago.
I would print them out myself and bring that here.
That-
Because of this.
Because you wouldn't have, I'm not saying it's confusion, but you can't read the figures to the public.
Right,
You know, I know you got them through the email, but we're not privy to that.
right.
And
But
we're
they
just
are-
relying on you, what you're, bringing to us. And with you not being able to read them, it's confusing to
Right.
us.
We're
Actually,
gonna
the
try and
email's
get
pretty
that
bad,
straightened
When
out.
I ran the packets through the copier, I didn't look at it because the email was clear. Do you get what I mean? So
Even
it's
the
just
email-
the way the toner smudged is
Tracy,
done. Yeah.
the email's pretty dark.
Is it?
Yeah. Right, we usually only read the total assets
Yeah, they
monthly
do,
anyway.
which you can see.
Yeah, that's
I
the one.
remember in assets,
Yeah.
alternatives, yeah, but I can't read them. We'll try and get that clear. What's posted on the website, is that clear?
It's probably not,
Yeah.
if David's
No, I
pulling
just
it
pulled up
up.
the email. It's a
something
little
the
bit
way
better,
he
but
must
it's
have sent it, and you guys
really
never
dark.
said anything, yeah.
Let's,
And when I printed it,
If
this
you-
is the way it just came out when I
if you
made the
get,
packet.
if you get something, try and print one to see what it looks like. If not, ask them to
Yeah,
resend
this
it.
is the first time it's ever.
No, it's
taken-
never been a
Just
problem.
It's
have
never been a problem, I think it's just the way he must have sent it then.
See if you can resend it so
Or
we
maybe it
have
was
a
my
clear
phone
copy for our
upstairs.
records then. And that way we can put the clear copy
Yep.
on the website so the general public can get it. Okay.
Most of it's clear, it's just that.
Well, I think what it is when the colored parts, the machine's black, white, and grays, it's got,
It's
just got so much
picking up
together.
what I printed.
Okay, next one is H, payment of bills.
I just want to read this one.
Oh, okay.
That's the bill.
First bill,
Alright.
okay. Clearbrook, 4/9/2018, for quarter ending June 30th, 2018, based on the March 31st, 2018 market value of $36,763,699.23. This invoice is for $27,572.77.
That we don't have to approve, that's they do that automatically, they deduce
Comes
it,
out of Rockland.
Yeah, it says fees will be automatically debited from the
Right.
account of Rockland Trust.
but just to announce it.
Just announce it, okay, all right. So that's for Clearbrook.
Yep.
All right. So that's okay. Next one is Olin and Penza, file MFB 7372 for March of 2018 for $5,476. We do it separate or put them all together?
Well, they're listed together under H1. You can do both.
Okay, and the next one is file WWPD, plan redraft, March of 2018, $555.
Motion to approve H1 in the amount stated.
Second the motion.
Motion made and seconded for H1, for Olin and Penza, all in favor?
Is there any
Aye.
public comment before you vote?
Sure.
Again, another 5,000 and change for lawyer's fees. You have seen an invoice, you all approve of these expenses?
Yeah.
Because we don't know what these expenses are, and they're pretty steep every month.
Yep.
So, I'm hoping that you're keeping track of these and we're all okay with what's happening with this
Well,
money.
we can read them to you.
Well,
have it
I
in
was
front
told
of
it was attorney-client privilege. I asked,
No? Can't tell them?
even though I'm the client, I can't be told what my money's being spent on. And I'm gonna come here every month and make sure that I'm asking if you're looking at these expenses, because if something comes up, we don't know what the expenses are.
I've been questioning them.
Well, good, because they should be
She knows
questioned.
it. I've been questioned
Right.
quite often.
I'm not saying you guys do anything wrong, but there's a big number on this bill, on this agenda every month, and we don't know what it's for. All I know is my money and everybody's money that's in the pension fund is being spent on this every month.
I have started a folder. It's marked Olin and Penza for my day here, first day. Because I was over there, just like you, questioning stuff, and I'm learning more and more every time I'm here. I started putting this together. I've also have a spreadsheet that Tracy gave me of our expenses. In the middle of looking at the contract for our Olin Penza, not against the company or anything, or
Well, I thought they just
Kristen.
attorney.
No, but we don't, what I found is, we don't have a contract, we ended it, even with the extensions, so I'm in the process
You
of
did
working.
ask about a kind of a one fee type
But
setup.
we have the breakdown and look at it, and like, he's questioned it, I've questioned some. The redraft is eating up a lot of it.
But the redraft is separate here, right? It's $555
Right,
for the month,
but if you look at all the redrafts back, some of them are big.
Oh, I understand that, but I'm talking about the actual $5,476 of
Yeah,
lawyer fees.
there's some months that I look at it and there's a lot of activity and it adds up. That's another thing that I'm trying to address, and we're in the middle of putting out a request for the prices to go out to bid for our legal fees.
All right, as with you, I'm just questioning what the fees are.
Yeah.
I'm not privy to what they are, you are, I'm
Yeah.
not. So I'm asking that,
I understand what you're saying,
Make sure
and I
that
don't
you
know
all
the
look at
answer
it.
to your question, whether you're privy or not. I know what you're saying, it's your money, but for now, we're told we can't, so that, I just have to go by that. But I know him and I for sure, we always check them. I'm not saying the rest aren't, but if there's a question on it, well, I've been questioned, I've asked the questions. And I'm putting it together, and I'm not done with it yet.
okay,
Just on the topic, I know you had a breakdown over the last few years of average fees.
Go ahead.
And you've shown that we've actually been spending a lot
Yeah.
less the last few years.
We've
correct?
actually,
Yes.
yeah, in what, the last 4 years, correct?
I just went through the general file, the 7372 file, and went through the last 4 years worth of fees, and I did the average per month, and it's gone down significantly, and I know I have it here.
Yeah, you read it.
well, my only concern is that I understand Clearbrook, Rockland, all the investment money's gotta come out of the pension fund, but administrative monies are supposed to come out of the town's end, not out of the pension fund.
And that was an understanding I had going back, like you said. What, I've asked that question, I've dug into that, and it's been explained to me. and I didn't realize that, but I understand it now, and I'm okay with it so far to this point, I'm keeping an eye on it. The ARC covers whatever the liabilities are, it's to figure out when the IHOT does that, what the ARC should be, and it takes into the fact all those expenses. So whether the town pays a fee or we pay the fee, it's figured in the ARC. So if we pay it, whatever it comes up, the ARC figures out, the actuary figures out what the ARC should be, and if it needs to be adjusted because the fees are higher this year, then it adjusts that, for that. So
That's a yearly basis?
it's not broken down as to say, well, we're gonna give so much to town, like, for instance, I met with the town manager on a couple of bills. They agreed to pay one, they said, no, and this is yours, all right, so we're gonna pay that, in fact, it's been payable off till tonight. But what they're gonna pay, they pay. But if it's not paid by them and we have to pay it, the ARC takes that in, as they look at our expenses in the ARC, and it figures into the amount for the ARC.
And they contribute more to the ARC.
And they're supposed to based on what they know,
Supposed to.
right.
Are they contributing
So
to
far,
the ARC?
They have, yeah.
they have been.
And how long has this practice been in place?
That I don't know.
Well,
That I
4
don't
years
know.
ago,
I wanna
We
say,
gotta
I
stay
wanna
on
say
this
just
agenda.
in this
We
5-year
do this
plan, I don't
every
think it's
month.
before that.
Every month.
I know, but we have.
Motion to
so many
approve
questions.
H1 in the amount stated.
You seconded, I believe, right? Motion was made and seconded. Any other comment?
Just for one comment. On the payment of that through the ARC, they want you to pay it out of the pension fund because you do not have a budget. So you can spend till it's empty. You don't have a goddamn budget, excuse my language. That's why they want you to do it out of the pension fund and not the town fund. Because if the town or the council who's watching, put it in a budget, and if you gotta go over the budget, ask for more money. If you can't understand that,
Well, I guess, wouldn't it, if the town is required to pay the ARC, and these fees are coming out of the ARC, then it is already in the town budget because it's part of the ARC.
in the paper this week says the town has only met the ARC 100% once in the last 4 years.
I think the paper was
That
wrong.
report is 2016 in the paper. But, going back to meeting the ARC, that happened the last 3 or 4 years when
Right.
this 5-year plan went into effect.
Right.
What about the previous years when the town never met their ARC?
Right.
The
That's
administrative fees were all coming out of our contract.
exactly. That's a big problem.
That was the
And
big problem. for
That's
10
why
years or so.
I've said as long as they're making 100% of the ARC, then I don't have a problem with the administrative expenses coming out of the fund. As long as they're going to replenish it through the ARC, it's a wash. The minute they don't put 100% in,
Then we're back to where we started.
now there's an
But
issue.
if we're going, well, they're doing the same thing with the OPEB now.
Yeah.
You're gonna have another problem
Yep.
there.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Don't-
Then I'll be on the OPEB board.
That's a nightmare.
Yep.
They shouldn't be paying
Do we have an OPEB board?
No. We will when it's distressed and
I thought
underfunded.
the pension fund's not.
It has nothing to do with it, but
Okay.
we'll see how that
I'm just saying,
goes.
in 2024, this ARC is going to skyrocket. It is. 2024, you're looking like 18 million for your ARC. That's
How
what
do
you're
you,
looking for.
how do you know that?
From the actual.
Because it's projected.
It's
so
on
it's-
that by the actual. If you looked at the NIAP report, look at the projection.
Projections, yeah.
And in around 2024, the ARC will be at around 16, 17 million dollars.
Okay, so I need to sell in 2023 and get out of this town, is that what you're telling me?
What I'm telling you is that you should be diligent in
Right.
securing as much money you can in this pension board. Even the measly little money you're paying for attorneys, because this is going to hit majestic proportions in the next 4 years, okay? And I'm just telling you, you as a board can do this on your own for a limited amount of money for an attorney. You can. You have the ability. I'm telling you, you have the ability. You can do this on your own, because most of the stuff on this agenda does not require a legal opinion.
Yeah, but I can't, I can't,
You can't what?
I can't answer an ACRA on my own, for example.
Can I ask you something?
I can't-
Have you all read the contracts?
Well, therein lies the problem.
No, that's not a problem.
It is.
Have you read the contract?
Yeah.
You read all the contracts?
We've all
Can
come
we
in.
go
read all
along with
the
this
MOUs?
agenda, please?
Yeah, we
You
Just
know
have,
what they say?
We're
yeah,
not gonna get anything done
And
here
you can,
tonight.
and
you
so,
can make a decision.
and this is the
The other
problem,
thing too,
is
I
that
don't
we
even have a problem, if you really don't have an answer to a question and there's not a lawyer here,
Mhm.
if you table it and just have one of you call the lawyer and get an answer to the question, that's fine. I can wait another month. You know
And
what I'm saying?
and I talked that over with members here and with our lawyer. The only issue that comes into effect sometimes is, sometimes you can't table it because now there's a, whatever the situation is, it needs an answer. So if you table it, you gotta wait another month, and that interferes with whatever this, that particular
You
thing
do
may
that
be.
anyways, because she has to, research it. She has to research it anyways. She can't give you an answer off the cuff.
Yeah, it depends
She's
what
gotta
it is too,
research the
that's true.
contracts, she's gotta research the pension plans, the MOUs and everything else, correct?
I've been looking at it, like I say, I'm not done. We have cut our expenses back with the lawyer. But I'm looking at we don't have a contract I found, so I'm working on getting that proposal. I'm working with finance, I've met with them, I'm going over it. We are gonna get something definitive so we know what our expenses are. There's some things we don't have control on, so like redrafts is something that happens once in a while, so that eats up more money. We can't control that, we have to do it, it's a necessary evil. But we are working, at least this board is trying to get the expenses down. I think short time I've been here, we've got a bit of that done. It's not gonna happen overnight. I understand what you're saying about projection. Believe me, we've been talking about stuff and trying to get that down, all the different fees, ways of getting around it. It's not an easy thing to do. But I feel the same thing you do. It can't happen overnight. I'm taking one problem at a time and working on it and trying to resolve it and get to the next one. But all your thoughts, yeah, the budget, Jerry, you've talked about that many times when I was on that side over there. I understand what you're saying. I'm looking into that, but I only got so much time a day to do things, but I am looking at that. I don't know if we can get an answer for that, but if I can, I'll come up with something. Because what you say, it's got some teeth to it, okay? No other comment, motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. H2, Nyhart Corporation, Actuary and Administrative Services for March 2018, two benefit calculations and a return of contributions for $737.50. Actuary and Administrative Services for March 2018, experience study report, $7,000. Actuary and Administrative Services for December 2018, annual benefit statements, $306, for 306 participants, $3,060.
Motion to approve H2.
Motion made,
second motion.
seconded. Yes,
This says for, the benefit statements for December of 2018, so is that in the future?
December 20,
No,
what do you
that
say
was for them.
Oh,
That's a typo,
I-
2017.
Oh, sorry,
That's
yeah, that's right.
That's the
Yeah.
one that was tabled,
okay, I was
that we
gonna
have to
say,
actually
so
pass.
we're
That
paying
was,
now for something that's gonna occur
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
6 months?
No,
It's the
that was-
2018
All right,
type,
okay.
typing.
Thank you.
that's a typo. On that one there, while we're on that one, David and I met with the town manager on this bill and a couple others. This one, it was agreed that we were gonna pay it, all right, it's a pension, thing. We also agreed that, it's not needed, we don't need to spend this money. If you want, as an employee, you can ask for it and they can do it. And the recommendation was that the employee pay for that at that time if they wanna know the figures before they're gonna retire, say 10 years, they're in 10 years into the job or something like that. So we're gonna pay this one, but we're not gonna ask for these statements. I think it was only done one other time.
That we would get them every year.
So we talked with the manager about it, and basically the only reason why we did it this time around was because when we renegotiated the contract with Nyhart, they were able to basically do the setup for it, no charge, but you were gonna pay for every participant. And honestly, what I got and what you got,
Yeah.
I saw no need in it. It really just, all it said for me is how much I've put in. And for $3,060, I don't think we really need to tell every employee how much they've put in. It doesn't really give you valuable information. It tells you when you can retire. I know when I can retire. My contract says when I can retire. It really, that's coming from a 401k system, which makes a little bit more sense, where you can see, okay, my employer put so much in, I put so much in, I've gotten the breakdown, here's what it's going to look like if this happens for the next 30 years, and it gives you an estimate. That makes a little bit of sense, but however the market goes or whatever monies get put in or out, it really shouldn't change what my retirement's going to be, because I have a defined benefit. It's already defined in my contract. So personally, I agree with Mr. Hero that it really shows me that there's nothing of value to this to anybody who's employed by the town. And for $3,060, it's a complete waste of money. And had I known that we were going to end up paying for it, I wouldn't have approved the money in the first place. But unfortunately, the town has said, well, that should be a activity of the board. That's your prerogative. And I said, well, then we're not doing it next year. But unfortunately, for now, we're stuck with this year's bill, which is the $3060. So we do have to approve it. But going forward, I would like to see that we don't do that anymore, because it served no purpose for me whatsoever.
You have a question?
As an active employee who has not gotten a statement in probably 7 or 8 years, maybe even more, that did have a value.
What's the last part, please?
That did have a value. I know you, how many people did this 3,060 cover?
306.
306.
How many?
306.
306, so what's that, $100?
No, $10 a piece.
$10 per person. I'm pretty sure that people who have not gotten a statement and had no clue with some of this stuff would pay $10 a person. So to say that it had no value.
Well,
I would agree.
what value did it give you that you couldn't have gotten anyway, is what I'm saying.
How would I have gotten that? But I know, personally know how to get it, but how would the average person working know how to calculate how long they've been there, by how many years at 2.5, how many years at 2.4, all of that. I spent many hours figuring that out. Most people don't know how to do that. So for them, just to give them a $10 statement saying, this is your estimated benefit, I think they deserve that.
And
Well,
I
what
still don't
point-
understand what did it show on that?
It showed my estimated, it showed me the date that I was eligible to retire.
Right.
Because believe it or not, there are still some people who don't know that. It showed me what my estimated benefit would be at that retirement date. It's not 100%, but it's close.
can we get people to log into a website to?
That would be
find
great.
information?
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be
But
That's
wonderful.
did
even
you
more
say that they
costly.
could pay for that themselves if they
Really.
wanted to? Can somebody pay $10 to get that if they want it?
No, what he was saying was, so you can get an estimate done anyway. So if you personally are ready to retire, you can go to Tracy and say, run my numbers. And this board will pay for it the first time.
Right.
Second time,
That's the problem, then they'll have to pay for
right,
it.
the next time you go to do that. So usually people will only do it when they're actually about to
Mhm.
retire, and that's covered.
But in making that decision,
Right.
this statement has been
Would you,
very beneficial.
if you were 10 years into the job, would you pay the $10 to have that statement done?
I would pay $10, of course.
Do you think most of the other employees of the town would do that?
I don't know, I can only speak
Okay.
for myself.
No, I understand.
I would just say, personally, I know exactly when I'm going to be able to retire. It's in my contract. I mean, I don't understand what this.
Right, but do you know what your estimated payment will be when you retire? That's the thing. So how do you make a decision on when you're gonna retire? Kind of ballpark.
So it's basically what you think you're going to make in 10 years. That's going to affect whether you retire now or 10 years from
No,
now.
if you're close, if you're, let's say you're 18 years, you can retire at 20 years. If you're close, it just helps in making the decision. And for people who are, putting money into this, I think that they deserve it.
But yeah, again, I
And
would say if
you're
I
right,
were.
maybe not every single year, maybe every other year, but to say that there's no value to it, I don't think so.
Could you do it per request, and the pension board, I know it's money, but pay for that $10? We only have
However,
like a handful
Again, like I said,
that ask for it. They need it sometimes for
Everything
certain
that was on
bosses.
that piece of paper,
Yeah,
I could determine based on what my contract says. I
Mhm.
get so many years of credit, whether I get
Right,
2.2,
and the years of credit, those are easy.
2.2%.
It's the estimated payment.
It didn't even really factor that in.
Mike?
It didn't say that I'm going to make X amount of dollars in the future, as far as I'm aware. It didn't.
It said if your pay level remains the same,
Which it's not.
right, it will go up, but at least it gives you
But depending how far away,
baseline.
for me, it's 25 years from now. I'm not going to make the same money 25 years from now. So it was
I agree.
completely
I
useless for
agree.
me.
Right, but for someone
So I
who's
stand by
maybe
what I
a little
said.
bit older than you and a little closer to retirement, it is a value.
For a fund
We're
that,
probably not gonna agree on that.
for a fund that's still considered in critical condition, I don't think we should be spending this kind of money for this. I don't have, maybe, my choice of words wasn't correct, that I apologize for. I have no problem with a person asking for it, I just think the person should pay that $10. I don't think we should be paying for it every 5 or 10 years, you know, some,
Can they pay 10?
what's that?
Can they pay $10 to get it? That's the question.
I don't know if you can go to Nyhart and say, these 50 people want the number. Maybe they could, I don't know.
well, this is what I was saying, like, once in a while, someone will be needing their total contribution and some kind of estimate.
Right.
For a divorce, cause we don't do quadros anymore and things
Right.
like that, remember I asked
Yeah,
to order it?
Yes.
So what I'm saying is they do one when I need it for that.
do they charge it?
Yeah, well, we do get charged
Right.
for the
Yeah.
thing, but I've asked permission to do it because they needed
Right.
it. I can't remember how much they have charged now that they've come up with the $10, because
Right.
now we.
The $10 quick, too, because they're doing 300.
Right, that's what I'm saying, it might be like $100 to get one done, I don't know
Let's,
that answer.
let's answer this question. Find out from Nyhart if an individual could ask for
The
figures
benefit statement.
and benefit statement and what that amount would be. And then, can the individual pay them, or do we get billed and we just get the money from the individual? I just don't think the plan should be paying for something, because we just don't have the money to pay for it.
I would also ask, oh, sorry, interruption. I would also ask if you get a certain amount, if the money would go down. You know, it just as an idea, if you did say who wants one, and maybe 100 out of 300 people wanted them, maybe it's a certain price.
But how are we
versus-
gonna find out who wants them and?
Just a thought, the price might not change.
How often do they do them?
They they, like she had said, several years have gone by.
The one I got before
Yeah.
that. So
It used to
if
be
that
yearly.
$3,060,
Yeah.
and you can do it over 8 or 10 years, it's even less.
Jerry?
But what this used to do, when Milliman did it, it was part of the contract.
Right.
The employees got a statement every single year.
Mhm.
I have my originals.
Yeah.
Okay? When you went to a new company, they gave you a lower price, they cut out certain core
Okay.
benefits.
Yeah.
That was one of them. You guys weren't even here, so somebody was unaware.
Right.
So when you're comparing different companies to do actuaries, you gotta look at apples to apples and see what's missing.
Right.
And you can include that in your next request for
Well,
proposals.
Right when we did the request for proposal, that's why this got brought up and that's why we did it, was, hey, by the way, Milliman, our old actuary, used to do this, can you do that for us? Yeah, sure, we'll set up the fee, it'll be $10 a person, sounds
Right,
great.
but
We
in
did it,
addition,
and honestly,
it's
ma'am, you're the,
building a house and you want a different cabinet,
Right.
it's more money.
right, exactly.
This was all inclusive.
I
with
think,
Milliman.
I think if you have them put that in a contract, say the next one, it's gonna cost more
They're
than
just gonna
$10.
make, yeah.
They're gonna charge a bigger
Maybe
fee.
Milliman won't be.
But honestly,
Oh.
just getting back to this, you're the first person that had given me any indication that it was valuable. Everyone that I've talked to has said, what is this? This makes
I
no
got all my
sense.
slips.
And
I
I'm
know
just,
people that are
Absolute, every
very
single year,
appreciative.
well, then I would
We have-
reconsider
every year.
doing this next year then, because I honestly have had nothing but terrible feedback, just a waste of money is what
Get
I've
rid of
gotten.
NIDA, go back
But-
to Milliman.
But we haven't had these in 7 or 8 years.
And I've never heard, let's get it, but in the meetings that we've had, why don't we get that again? It's, yeah, sure, we can ask for it, and they said, we'll do it, $10 a person.
No, now it's the active employees.
And
that
we've
want
got,
it.
right,
Absolutely.
so like I said, I've got mine, I said, this is stupid. And everyone I talked to, same thing, this has nothing, and I asked Tracy, I remember, well, shortly after, have you gotten any good feedback? No?
The only good thing about it was some of the dates and stuff from reporting in the past have been wrong,
Right.
so it helped clear up
Some of that?
some of that.
You
No,
But if
maybe
there's a
about
few people
15,
that it's
but-
gonna benefit, let's do it. But I just honestly have not heard anything positive about it until tonight.
Have
You're-
you spoken
you-
with any of them?
You're
active?
you're
Like I said,
working
I asked
right-
Tracy who
Yeah, I didn't get, a lot of people were confused with the ones that.
it did more harm than good.
Millard did than the way Milliman did.
I have a question for you, ma'am.
I know the school
How often do you,
department really wanted them.
would you think you should get a benefit statement?
Pardon me?
How often do you think you should get a benefit statement? 5 years? Every 10 years?
Somewhere between 2 and 5 years seems reasonable.
That is reasonable. When you break it 3,000 over 5
Yeah.
years.
Again, I'm gonna state what I said before. This pension fund can't afford to do this. I'm not saying it's, something we shouldn't do at all. I just, for the condition of the fund right now, it's an expense I don't think we need to do. It doesn't have priority. To me, it's at the bottom of the list somewhere, or near the bottom, all right? I'm not saying it's not a value or anything, but just, we have other things that we need to spend the money on, and we have to, some things we can't afford, we have to pay them. Other things we can get by without them, and a benefit statement's one. But I understand what you're saying, and like he said, I've heard different things too. Nobody's really wanted it or had good comments about it. But I understand what you're saying, and I remember what Jerry said, because I remember getting when I was working. So there is some value, it gives you an idea. Maybe it's not right, and like Tracy just said, sometimes there's some errors and numbers on it, so you can figure it out and figure out the mistakes. I don't think I don't really have a problem if we do it every 5 years, because you're spreading that amount of money over that time period versus doing it every year. But that's something we can decide
Yeah,
as
we
a
can
board
revisit that when.
when the time comes. All right, well, right now, we've done it for 2017.
Right.
All right, so, if we do it in another 5 years, I don't think that'll be.
And it could be less. I mean, honestly, if there is positive feedback out there, then we'd love to hear it. Because I have,
Well, I don't think anyone will be requesting it within the next year or so.
so
Because they
maybe,
just got a statement.
maybe at the
Right.
very earliest every other year. Maybe.
Maybe,
Okay.
yeah.
Peter, does NAHOT know not to do it annually?
We'll have to let them know. They
Yeah.
may just do it automatically
Right,
and
because that's
All
one
right,
thing
well-
we discussed.
So let's just make sure they don't do it.
Yeah,
and,
until
we ask for it.
right.
I'll just tell them. But I'll still find out, like, if you can order them individual. if
Right,
someone
and we'll go,
needs
that way
one
they,
For some reason.
the people have their choice if they want.
Right,
You know,
like if someone needs one for something.
right now, I think we should do every 5 years. And if they say that they can be ordered by the individual separately, then they have that choice too.
Right.
Uh,
I believe there was a motion.
There was motion made, seconded.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Town of West Warwick Finance Department, first quarter 2018, a board clerk for an amount of $966.37.
Motion to pay them item H3 in the amount
Second.
stated.
Second the motion.
Motion made, paid H3 for $966.37 for the board clerk. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Item I, death benefit. Sandra Pachobi, this is, did I say that right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. For Kenneth Cody, it was on 3/3/18, for monthly benefit of $1,591.53 and a one-time fee of $2,000. This was tabled from last month till we got the actual figures, which we have now.
Motion to approve item I.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve item I, death benefit for Kenneth Cody, survivor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item J, applications to receive. First one, Chief Joseph Barrett's normal retirement. Retirement date of 7/6/2018. That is subject to change. That's his, what he put to the council. We do these separately or together?
That's separate. Motion to receive item J1. And can we get just notice of when that does occur? It does say subject to change, so we're not really
That's how
gonna.
he filled it out, he said just in case he
Yeah.
was to stay. he
I just
might-
know how it's been lately, where dates go by and then we don't hear anything from either either HR or the manager, just let them
Yeah,
know.
no, I will the chief will let me know.
Okay.
We talked about it, we sat down.
Cause we really can't run,
So if he's gonna be on
I'm not gonna
7-6.
run
we
the
can't run
numbers
anything until we have.
until I know
Right,
7-6
Yeah.
passed, but if he needs to extend it, at
Right.
least it's received,
He's
then
gonna
let
let
you know again.
He's gonna let you know that?
Yeah,
Right,
if
it's
it's
gonna be
subject to change. I have a note on, remember I showed you,
Right,
I'm not to
but
run
he's
the
gonna let you know
numbers.
if he's changing his
Mhm.
mind? Okay.
Alright.
Yep,
So
he
motion to
just wanted to
receive
get his
J1.
app in.
Yep.
Any other discussion?
Can you make the motion?
Did you make a
I
motion?
did.
Motion made?
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Joseph Barris, normal retirement, subject change, a date of 7/6/2018. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved, against? Motion carries. Second one, David Lombari, normal, department head, Department of Public Works, 7/1/2018.
Motion to receive J2.
Second motion.
Motion made and second to receive application J2 for David Lombari. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 3, Jonathan Izzy, normal retirement, Police Department, 7/14/2018.
Motion to receive J3.
Second the motion.
Motion made and seconded for item J3, Jonathan Izzy, 7/14/2018. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Charles Cornell, mandatory retirement by the town, 4/29/2018.
Motion to receive J4.
Second the motion to receive J4.
Motion made to accept J4. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item K, applications to approve. Nancy Westlegal? Westlegal,
Westlegal.
sorry.
Oh, you Nancy?
No.
Oh. I was gonna say congratulations.
There's only one thing worse than my pronunciation, and that's my spelling.
That's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
Where am I? Normal retirement from schools, 1/26/2018. Your amount is $1,909.17.
Motion to approve K1 with congratulations.
I second the motion and the congratulations.
Motion made and seconded to approve Nancy for the school for 1/26/2018. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next one, L, experience study. Let's see.
I just stuck it in there because they
Yes.
completed it and I posted it already online.
Is it posted online?
I did,
Oh,
just
perfect.
before the meeting.
It's not in here, right?
Yeah,
is, it
that
is?
big
Okay.
packet,
Yeah.
remember,
I gotta
you
find it.
separated everything out,
It's-
right there. You just have it, I can see it with the black ends, yeah.
This one here.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, that's the one that we spent $7,000 on.
But you have to do that. So anyway, it's posted online, there's nothing, just wanted them to know it was
Yeah.
done. So you all have your copy.
This was, if I remember correctly, a requirement too,
You
correct?
have to do it every 3 years by state law.
Every 3 years.
Yes.
Okay. State law.
Basically, the summary is they don't recommend any changes to assumptions at this time based on the last, they had to go back a few years because,
For 4 years? 3 or
well,
4
they,
years?
we do it every 3, but since we've had them for the last few cycles, I think it's going back
They went back to,
9 years.
it was, I think it went back to 2010. The dates are on the email that's right ahead.
2010 to
email right in front of that.
2017
Yep.
experience is what
So
they're
that's,
showing.
yeah, that's the period that they looked at. I'm trying to find if they have like a summary, but
I didn't see the summary.
The study covers from 7/1/2010 to 7/1/2017. We have not recommended any changes to assumptions at this time.
so it's in our email.
Yep, I put the email, it was
Yeah.
right on front.
This is online, so you can look at it.
One copy. They could have mine.
All right.
Okay, we were talking, we did kind of talk a little bit about this, assumption that the pay would be, that the salary scale, would be compounded annually at 3.5%, starting July 1, 2018. And that between July 1st and 2013 and July 1st, 2018, they had used a number of 2.2% compounded annually. And I guess they felt that that was reasonable based on the fact that nobody was getting a pay raise between July 1st, 2013 and 18. It was a 5-year freeze, right? Now we're back up to assuming that there is going to be a pay raise every year, and that this 3.5% number is correct. This 3.5% compounded annually is a good number. You guys have any experience with that? No? Is it as good a number as any at this point in time then? That's what I might say.
Any
I mean,
objection
based on,
to that?
and that's what this is basically showing, is that
Good to me.
their assumption rates are pretty in line. They break it down on page 12, Helene.
Yeah, well, I don't know, I mean, so their assumption rates were based on, we're based on 2010 to 2013, because that's when they were, the last time they were doing giving us a 3.5% compounded annually assumption rate. As a force, and so are we the same, in terms of town employees, fire, police, and, do we have the same kind of age structure at this point in time than we did in the years 2010 to 2013? Do we have a younger force now?
I would
Do
say,
we have an older force now?
it's hard to say. I would say, yeah, probably. That's more in Nyhart's report. They break down demographics pretty good in their
But that
annual report.
fluctuates. You'll get a
Well, of
point
course it
where,
fluctuates. Well, sometimes it fluctuates, but sometimes it really doesn't fluctuate, because what happens is you get a whole bunch of people retiring all at once because of how hiring was done.
Right.
right,
We might hire in a bunch and then not hire for years, and then
That's
hire
correct.
another bunch. And so, you know, these assumptions need to be right, is what I'm saying.
And if you look at
Because
page
right
12,
now, we're not that healthy.
if you look at page 12, Helene,
I'm
they
looking
show
at page 12, yeah.
2010 to 2017, the actual experience was 3.13%, and their assumption was 3.5. So they were a bit conservative by giving us 3.5,
Right,
which is a difference of 0.37%.
right.
And I'd rather have them over figure than under.
Oh, so
you know.
me too, but I
So-
also want to make sure that,
But that's why we do this every 3 years to look back, and if they said, wait a minute, we were off, the actual experience was 4.5, and we're only assuming 3.5, we need to bump that up next year. That's kind of why they do this.
are we, do we have to do this one? Do we have to do it every 3 years?
no,
Every 3 years by
Yeah,
Rhode
that's,
Island law.
Rhode Island law,
We do, I
That's
thought
the
we
That's
had.
Retirement
legislation.
Security Act of
Mhm.
2000.
RI,
So we only have a
RSA.
choice on this. So if they're wrong, they're only wrong for 3 years, and that's
Right, then
recoverable.
they adjust. But like they had said in the cover in the email, that they don't recommend any changes to assumptions at this time. So it seems to be most of their assumptions are pretty accurate, which is good.
That's a good thing.
So it's available online as of tonight. Anyone can look at it.
Yeah, it's already up.
Perfect.
Yes.
any other discussion?
No.
Okay. Next one. Code update.
Oh, this Aldi
That
Fiore.
list stuff?
Yeah, it said
Oh,
for
that's-
us to
okay.
double check to see if the ICMA was still this clause.
Mhm.
But in the new personnel policy effective July 1st, 2015, the ICMA, the only changes is that it went to 7%, like this has to replace this.
was that?
Well, they passed it.
They passed it on
that's it.
July 2015. He wanted us to update the pension benefits for the non-union.
Mhm.
So this is the new,
Right.
and also the
Oh,
7%.
yeah, okay,
You
I
know what I
remember that
mean?
now,
So
yep.
he has to change
That makes
it
sense.
to
The
match
first page,
this.
yeah, the first
That's
page
all.
that Tracy wrote on, that's the
Yeah,
section
one of the things is
2-231.
7%. I took it, and then I gave you a copy of the personnel policy.
Right, the
He's
next
gonna
page.
replace it with this.
Yep.
Has to be in the, or whatever he's doing. I think he's updating the code of ordinances
Yeah.
or something.
Right, these are
Yeah.
all online, if you
Yeah.
go on the West Warwick website.
They have to
you
match.
can- You
Does
can
he,
pick them up.
does he need action from us, or is this just for review, letting us know what he's doing?
Well, I wanted you
He's
guys to
asking,
know.
he's
Yes.
asking if this is the accurate code or not, and Tracy has pulled
This
the
one.
the
Yeah.
non-union personnel
So you have
policy.
to-
7%.
I would say you have to vote on it, just to send it, and then he brings it to the town council. He does everything else. But it has changed in 15 when they voted on that. The personnel, policy.
So he's got 5% here?
Yeah, see if
So
you
it
read it,
should
see
be-
how it says
should be
5%?
7.
And then they changed it, now it's effective
Yeah.
7%
Town
for
contributes
anyone that
7%.
participates, so. I mean, I would send them this, I just wrote it out to you
Yeah.
guys. Or I could actually send them both of this, they'll know what to do.
Yep. Wish we had the email from him. I wish we had the email from Al DiFiore that said, like, what he wanted.
All he did was say, if there's any changes, you had to give it to him, it was a one blurb, it was in the last packet.
Yeah. It's basically just, yeah, it should be 7%, not 5.
Yeah,
That's,
I would just send them these 2 sheets.
I just don't know if we need action.
Yeah, you can just, I mean, you can just like. you
Forward
said,
him.
Just to
vote to
forward,
have Tracy
yeah, like a
forward this
vote.
page of the non-union personnel policy from 2015.
Easy enough.
But he'll change it all, do you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
Right, the
And
town
he's only
council will actually
questioning
amend the
this.
code.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the question
Yeah, that's
was
what I'm
just
saying, we don't need to-
We knew about any
Right.
amendments
Think
that,
that's-
that would affect that.
All right.
Yeah, you got the email too, it was just,
All right, so
it was
I
just
remember
this.
it from last month,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll
He
make,
didn't really say much in it.
I just remember it said they were
Yeah.
updating the code.
Updating the
Well,
code,
that's
let me
right.
know.
It's-
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
and he attached this,
All
and
right.
that was it.
Motion to have the clerk forward, page 28 of the, is this the handbook? Personnel
Nope, it's the
policy.
personnel policy.
28 of the personnel policy to Mr. DiFiore.
Is the percentage correct or not?
Yeah, it's correct in the personnel policy, 7%.
Yeah, they voted in 15 and
Alright,
passed
so
it.
they just need approval.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah,
Motion made to forward
page 28.
page 28, to Al DeFlori.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And the opt-out for police and fire disabilities,
He was gonna have to table that, he never got back to us.
we have nothing back from police and fire department on that yet.
No, that's from the town
From the
manager.
I mean, that's right, manager.
Yeah.
Motion to
We did-
table item N.
I sent the email.
Motion made to table item N.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item O, the Bola Quattro, this was from last month. Tracy has contacted, the lawyers, and been back and forth. We had another contact just, before our meeting tonight. That still has no answer to the question that was proposed to the board. So, we've sent, another email to, the lawyer again. So, we're gonna table this till, next month so we can get an answer. If we don't get an answer that answers the question of the individual, then we're gonna answer the individual that we can't get an answer from the lawyers and let the individual take it from there.
Okay.
Motion to table item O.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, table item O. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item P, COLAs for Police and Disabilities Award.
Gonna meet with the manager, right,
We're gonna,
on this one?
Yeah, I'm gonna set
Well-
up a meeting.
right, because we need to find out about the, for this one here, we're gonna have a meeting, Tracy's gonna set up a meeting with the, town manager. So go over that, we need to,
And Bill Dolan,
Bill
What's
Dolan
that?
as well.
and Attorney Dolan.
and Attorney Dolan, right, to go over the, questions we have with them.
On a
Do you want
table.
a motion for that?
Motion to table item P
Okay.
and meet with the manager in the meantime.
I
Motion.
second the motion to table item P.
Okay, motion made and seconded to, table item P, until we have, a meeting with the town manager and, their labor lawyer. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item Q, APRA request.
Yeah.
That is the old APRA requests that we had received that asked for, some information
Kevin?
from John Hancock. It's actually, Q and R go together, the old APRA requests
Oh,
and the
okay.
John Hancock. We got a birthday present from John Hancock. More
Fantastic.
documents.
Stuff we can read?
Can read them, they're organized, they're actually
Yeah,
pretty
went to
great.
classes, get ready.
So we got, a copy of, the, group annuity contract summary by year from 57 to 2016. And some documents supporting it and some
Broke my
bank
bones.
information, but this is what we got. So if the board is all right with it, I can make sure there's nothing that needs to be redacted, and I would be happy to forward it to anyone who would like the copy.
Right there.
I'll make a motion to have, council review the document, redact anything necessary, and make public said document.
I second the motion.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Kevin,
Email?
Yes.
I think you're gonna like this one the best of all.
Good.
Answers a lot of questions. I took a quick peek through it and, like I said, answered a lot of questions.
Gives like year-to-year breakdown. and-
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
Where the checks went,
whoever
Yep.
did that, yeah.
And who got the checks?
who got the checks?
Yep.
Yep, even
why.
some, once they have copies, they give us the copies of the checks.
All sorts of good stuff.
It did, whoever put that together, John Hancock really did a lot of work, did a pretty good job.
This is how
Yeah.
thick it is though, Kevin. Do you want me to email it to you, or do you want me to email it to the town and have them make you a copy?
Why don't you email it to the town, Tracy? can you make a-
Yeah, I'll make you a copy.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just really,
Print
it's
it
a lot
and
to
use
print.
it for that.
There shouldn't be
That's
much to
never
redact, you
happened
said, right?
before.
And who pays for that paper, though? We gotta give him a copy. You pay for it?
You're gonna pay for it.
I wanna pay for it?
Yeah.
No, it was an APRA request. We'll get
It's
like
not a request,
we'll
you
get-
pays for it.
we'll get like a cent a sheet or
I'm
something.
just gonna make the copy.
Come on, guys, we've been waiting for this.
I-
Too nice.
I'll go through, I don't
He's
expect that there's
smiling.
much, if anything, that I have to redact. It would just be if there's any socials or personal stuff, and I don't think that there is.
Okay.
So I'll just go through it quick and make sure, and then I'll.
So when you send it, I'll call you.
I was gonna bring it up tonight, because I can't go to John Hancock and get the answers. So I was gonna ask you to give me a liaison person that to
Yep.
get them the answers.
They did say before that they would continue and get some more.
Yeah.
At the last one we did at the council meeting, and they did come through. And it's
Fantastic.
We got
completely
A lot.
readable.
Good.
totally readable, totally
Yeah.
legible,
Good.
not like last time. I don't think there's even a single document that I can't read.
I think you should sit
There may
down.
be one that's less legible
You
than
should
others.
sit down before you start to read it, because I don't want you to fall and get hurt.
It's good reading.
It's
Except
very,
for the other stuff.
very
I use
interesting.
a magnifying glass.
It's hard, even on the computer,
Do it, yeah.
next to impossible to try and
Kinda
read some
like
of
that
it.
one.
And you
Yeah,
had to
it's
kind of
really
like guess
hard.
what the next
Yeah.
word was.
Exactly, well, what the next paragraph was, what you're
Right.
trying to tell me.
Sometimes. These are much better.
Oh, fantastic, that's great.
Next month, bring the refreshments.
All right, item S, Patrick Kelly. Do you want to explain it?
Yeah,
or-
I can speak to this. So basically, we received an application from a member that has since left service with the town. He had completed between 13, 14 years of service, was requesting a vested benefit. We had some questions, or he had some questions as well as when do I get it? What's the amount? There was previous members that had retired under this, but it's not very common. And frankly, the actuary seemed to be confused. When we sent a request for benefits, they gave us back two different options, which made no sense. The board has since discussed it in executive session. We are going to move forward. We're going to look at the previous members that received this benefit, determine when they began receiving their benefit, when they retired, the years of service, and as well as there was a previous board opinion that was issued that may or may not be responsive to this matter, but the board will move forward. But unfortunately, I don't think there's enough tonight to make a decision on it. I would make a motion to table until next month until we can review, like I said, the two previous members that had left under this benefit and how it would affect members going forward in the police department. It's different than fire. We had an opinion with fire employees that they begin receiving at age 50. Currently, the police contract and the contract that this gentleman retired under had no age stipulation for his group, anyone hired before July 1st, 2014. Members after July 1st, 2014 do have an age stipulation. I think this is where maybe Nyhart got confused. But again, I think we should table to review it and come up with an opinion and look into it next month. I think in the meantime, we probably could run a benefit statement.
In both directions, like two benefit statements?
Well, we could get a calculation just so he has an idea of what the amount would be.
Probably not a benefit statement, though.
No,
No?
I'm sorry, not benefit statement.
you're confusing
Benefit
me.
calculation. Because they didn't do a calculation. Remember they said there was, well, it could be one amount or another, which
So which way are we gonna run it?
Well, it should be the same amount, the
It should-
question
yeah.
is when you
It
can
will be.
collect.
it should be the 2.5% for every year of service. I don't see why it would be anything else.
For up to 20 years.
Well, yeah,
Well-
Well,
that's,
that doesn't matter, the 20 years, okay? You're
Yeah.
right, it'll be
In
the
terms of
same.
what, how much
Right.
he
It
actually
just
gets
matters
in
when
one.
he can collect, not
Right,
what.
right, right.
So I'll ask him to do a calculation like he's
Based on
leaving
what?
today on for his years of service.
correct.
Right.
And that way,
And I'm-
next month we
okay.
can approve it with figures and he can,
Once we get the
If we
rest
have
of it
a-
answered, yeah.
if we have a decision
And they
next
can
month.
put a little footnote if they want, like, you know what I mean, pending which way,
Right.
because we'll need to definitely know how they're
Right.
gonna treat it,
It
but
did-
just.
It'll be based
years.
on, was it 14 years, I think he's got it.
Whatever his
13
years
or
are,
14.
Yeah, I don't
whatever
have-
the percentage
Right.
is, just run his figures with the figures, I already sent the figures.
Right.
So they should be able to run
Yeah.
the numbers, it's just a difference of the start date.
Right.
Right.
Which needs to be determined, but then.
Which, we're working on that.
Correct.
So,
uh,
any other discussion?
No, but I do see Mr. Kelly in the audience. If he wants to speak. Okay.
Oh.
I'm sorry, sir. I don't know who you are, so, okay. You okay with that?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
I'm gonna
All
send
right.
that tonight.
So, like I said, I'll make a motion to table item S to review.
Thanks for calling.
Second.
I'm sorry, second.
Motion made and seconded, table item S, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. T,
See you, Pat.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Discussion. Anyone?
I feel like I had something, but.
All right, I'll start then. On our contract we have with our solicitor, or board clerk?
Counsel.
Counsel.
Sorry.
Either one, I answered everything.
Contract ran out, was in 13, ran out in 16, correct?
That sounds right.
There was a
I know
couple-
it was 3 years, so 13, 14, 15, yes.
And there was a couple months written in, I've got it here somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
We've since not have a contract, so we're working basically
Well, you have the contract, you just
But-
don't have you're at will now.
at will.
Good.
So, I've started collecting, as I said earlier, all the expenses and other things. I looked at what how it was originally proposed and advertised for the services. I'm working on, with the help of Aline, going through, I met with Finance Department to draw up a new proposal to put out for bids. We are looking at the original, what we're working under right now is an hourly rate. And then it's broken down into paralegals and one other,
It's usually partners, associates,
partners and
paralegals.
paralegals, all right. So we're looking at all of that and, in different, finance options of how to bill the board for services. So we're still collecting that information and tweaking up the proposal. Once we have that together and got it done and it's approved by the board, finance said just bring it back to them and they take it from there, they do the advertising, collect all the bids in the time period, then open the bids, which we one of us or any of us on the board would attend, and then they turn them over to us and then we take it from there and go. I've started doing this now and got going with it. Cause I know it's gonna take some time, but I wanna get something in writing down the road here, so we've got something we're working on for a contract, and we're not working at will. But I don't wanna get this advertisement out though until we finish with the, redraft. Cause redraft, if we switch with, somebody who's different and hasn't worked with redraft all the time that, she has, I think that's gonna hurt us and throw us back and then just end up spending more money. Redraft also is, while we're on that subject, is like an option or a job that she has that wasn't really part of what her job description is for what we do here on a regular basis. Redraft is not something you do every month. It's a one-time thing that takes some time. So we gotta consider that when we do our putting together our request for our prices. Cause you can't just come with one thing to cover everything, cause that wouldn't be fair to whoever the individual is. You know, cause you never know what projects might come up.
But when you did the redraft in 2015, did it go out to bid, or did you just have?
She was still under contract.
She was still in the contract, but it was outside the scope of her contract, or was the redraft part of her contract?
We had authorized a beginning amount of money. Initially, it was basically, we need to do a redraft, something along, yeah, I was gonna say 10, but, we didn't go out to bid with it, it was Olin Penza.
You said 16,000.
I don't,
Yeah. But that's, I remember how it started.
Right.
I don't believe there's anything in that, the contract that she's under that says anything about that.
A redraft.
It just, whatever fees, whatever comes up, whatever time she spends, it's an hourly rate. And then the assistants or partners, there's a rate for that. So, whatever the objects come up that need to be done, whether it's a special project that once in a great time that we do or whatever, we're paying an hourly rate. I'm just trying to get that expense down, so that what we need legal representation for to cover us, we have. If there's something extra, well then that'll be a different thing and a different price, and that'll work in our proposal. She did some tallying up, Kristen did for the last 4 years,
4 years, yeah. I think.
and we've actually able to cut her expenses down. Is that something you want to read out?
Sure, you can, or I can, if you can read my
Yeah,
chicken
go ahead.
scratch.
I mean, if you cut the costs, you cut some costs. I mean,
Right, well, that's what we're trying to do, but
We
we've
just-
actually done it without, in the existing contract, we've been able.
Yeah,
it's just-
I just averaged the monthly expenses, I just took it, and I just did it for the general file, so just for the 7372 file. And the average expenses in 2014 were approximately $3,100. 2015 were about 3,300, obviously I'm rounding. 2016 was 2,700, and 2017 was down to 1979 on average,
a month.
a month, yes, yep,
And with that, you were charging more per hour as those years went on.
yes,
And
it
you
went
still
up
have
$5.
I believe you voted on this, when, I think David was there, with the rest of you were here. You voted that each member could call the attorney on their own and ask a question,
No.
No.
or just the board.
No, it was
Chairman.
if there's a legal opinion brought by somebody, whether it's the human resources director, a councilman, to not go directly to our council, because we were finding in the bills, because
They were going to.
we're reviewing them, we're saying, why are you talking to HR? What is that about? And
All the managers.
she's just answering and doing the, no. So from here on out, if they have a question, come to the board first, fill it out. We'll decide if we need to go to our council or not. Or if you wanna go to just her, then you bill them. You know, that's kind of what we voted on.
That's where we stopped that.
Which you did, and they paid it, pretty sure.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
forwarded to them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did.
Because that's a lot of what was going on, was just
Yep.
random questions that people were going, and it's
Yeah.
all West
That was
Warwick's
our
file,
line.
so it all went into ours. And so that hedged some of those expenses down. And that's the best thing to do, is just look at how you can cut them easily by not sending stuff to legal.
Yeah.
You know, that's the first thing to do. And
Right.
second, like he's explaining, is, you know, have a retainer, so if you know that every month we're gonna have so many hours per meeting, she's gonna have so much prep time,
Right.
instead of, you know, this meeting went,
Some meetings are longer, some are shorter.
you know,
Long.
right.
Right.
So if you can kind of take an average and have that way the expenses aren't going up and down like crazy, then that helps too. But,
And when the agenda's drawn up, if there's nothing there that she needs to come, or if we can do a retainer type setup, he or she, I have to say that, whoever has that, won't have to come. So in that respect, you know, looking at it that way, they make up. If they have to come and they only spend 2 hours, that's okay, but if they spend 6, well, that's all right, it comes out in the wash, I think, it's just to come out what a figure would be if we do it that way. There is a lot of things that Tracy can do. Kristen has actually recommended that more than once, so I think that's another savings, how we've been able to save some
yeah,
money.
big time.
Tracy will do stuff, Tracy does a lot of stuff, she's our right hand and our left hand, and somewhere in the middle too, it's amazing what she does. I've worked with her this afternoon, we got a lot of stuff done, that, she finds the time and she does it.
She wants highway to move.
And she doesn't do it on town, she doesn't do it on town time.
But there's things that she can do that Kristen can do, but we don't need a legal person to do that, we research that.
She's less costly.
If we run into a problem or question doing something, then we go to Kristen, you know.
What we're asking.
Yeah,
That's
so
it. Keep the expenses down.
Yep.
Albert, I got one question.
Yes, sir.
On plan redraft, you guys administer the plan that's presented to you from the town, correct, of West Warwick? You just administer that plan, you don't write it.
No.
No.
So why is the town not responsible for the plan? Since you're just administering what they want.
I will tell
Why
you.
are they not responsible to pay for it?
I will tell you that as long as I'm on the board, I'm never approving another redraft coming from us again, because it's just, if you want us to do it, town, you give it to us, we'll do it. Like,
Then you're responsible.
because this is just, I mean,
Never been.
we're doing a good job, and it's nice to have the oversight, because we are the pension board, and we know what changes need to be made and why. But my God, it's just taking so much of our time.
And not only that, I mean, all you're doing is administering.
Right, and that's
Correct.
kind of all we
And
need
it's
to do.
a plan that's set by the town.
Right.
So I think if you look at some of these other seasoned towns, they pay for that plan, it doesn't
Right.
come out of the pension.
And honestly, we have set up this redraft, both redrafts, police and fire and excluding, to be very easily changed. As soon as there's new contracts, they should be able to plug and play, just like the,
Well, just like
the town
collective
charter.
bargaining agreements,
You don't-
we just add to it and that's it.
well, yeah, those can get a little sloppy too. but-
It's not set up that way right now.
But what I'm saying is, if you look at a lot of seasoned towns, which I've been doing, because I'm the state municipal vice president, and it does not come out of their pension plan.
Right.
The seasoned towns have been paying for it.
Right,
We agree with you.
yeah. But like I said,
There's only
hopefully,
one,
going in the future, we're not letting a lag time of 10 or 12 years go by and then redoing the whole thing. It should be any time a change is made, ordinance level, contract level, whatever it would be, the town automatically will submit language to the pension plan and say, by the way, section 3, A2 needs to be changed, here's the new language, and we move forward from there. Exactly.
right, right.
Same thing. And that way, we don't have to do a redraft again. We just update it as it goes and leave the plan open like she designed it to be. If you're so-and-so retired on this date, and everything's in that plan where you're not having to refer to contracts from 1992 to 1995 or ordinances from 20 years ago. It's all included. It's taken a long time, but hopefully going forward, as long as it's updated even annually, you won't have this giant expense that needs to be done every 10 years. It's just going to be moving forward. It's constantly updated.
And one other thing,
Hopefully.
the RFP goes for the attorneys. Why, did you ever talk to someone from the state retirement system? How their RFP goes up, because their attorney's fees are structured totally different than the way ours are. And maybe you could send out an RFP similar to theirs.
Their RFPs are different.
Their request for
Proposal, our RFP is a
and request for
proposal of project.
qualifications are different than to what we send out, and their costs are a lot cheaper.
Is this just, are you speaking just to legal expenses or other stuff?
Just when they go to the state retirement system,
Yeah,
they have an attorney present at their meetings. But that goes out every 3 years. They renew it.
the attorney?
That's how the state does that, right? Every 3 years they do stuff, right?
And if you need information on that, I can give you the guy on the state retirement system's number, and he'd be willing to help you with that.
Yeah. So is that all of their professional services every 3 years?
Let me put you this way. Their expenses are not even a quarter
Kevin,
of what ours are.
Mm.
And we did a survey of the Rhode Island cities and towns, and ours are right up there in the administration.
Is it all administration, or are you looking at specific legal? Yeah. It's like, because overall, administratively, we're in line, I would say.
Because the only reason
But
why
legal,
the
yeah.
last couple of years was because they got that health care lawsuit that's still going on,
Yep,
and the pension over the coals.
right.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of litigation the past couple of years.
Right. And Alvin's familiar with that. He's seen some of their bills.
Alright.
But that's something to look
Yeah.
into. Yeah.
Secretary of State
no.
on the pension
You
stuff.
sent it to me or to the board?
Yeah, I sent it to you. I was gonna send it to Tracy, the distributor. The general treasurer did
Yeah, magazine. Yeah.
a report on the,
Oh, you sent a link, right?
yes.
Yeah.
I did see this
yeah.
also. Actually,
The
the
what
link-
device it was on, the link wouldn't connect, so I've gotta go on a computer or something to do it.
Right, what I'll do is I'll mail a copy of it to Tracy, and she can use all a copy, so you have it.
All right.
See
Yeah,
some
that'd be
interesting reading there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, one of the things that was definitely
Well, you have to
disconcerting
remember
about that report.
though, those numbers are 2016 numbers in that report.
Yes, it's
The
2016.
2017 numbers won't come in until July 1 this year.
Okay.
Right,
Okay.
but the report showed that we were less healthy than we were, before
At the
we
time of
showed the
that,
5-year
yes.
plan.
But that isn't counting the
2017.
3 years, and this year being the 4th year of 100% contribution, that was only counting the first 2 years.
2 years, okay.
And it went back to 2012, right? Not 2014.
Right.
So we were
So
starting
some
at
bad years.
Zero.
starting at a higher point and then ending at the same.
No, I
And we were
guess,
still depressed in 2012.
And-
We
and
were,
they-
but we were worse
it's
off
critical
in
if it's
2014.
60% funded anyway, so.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
lowest funding we had was, I think it was 2014.
but they ranked all the towns, and aren't we down near the bottom?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you gotta remember, those
There's no
numbers
surprise
don't
there.
include the last fiscal year.
17.
Right.
So it'd be totally different July 1.
Mm-hmm.
The average is thrown off by
Right.
the big
Mhm.
And like
difference.
David said, they went back to 2012.
All right.
I saw that part in the paper, I did read that, yeah, it was in the paper.
Right.
I think it was a Sunday's paper, one of
Right,
the
and
Sundays.
at that point, it only said that we had 20 million in our plan, now we're up to 30-something.
Right.
37. Yeah.
That's a big difference.
Have you guys had any discussions with the general treasurer at all? Have you been to any meetings with him, or?
No.
I met with him last year. We had a meeting at
Probably over the MERS.
yes, oh, the
legislation.
MERS legislation.
Have
Yeah.
you guys read that legislation?
Yes.
The only one I've had there was, I sat with Russ on the, under the, part of the
Right.
perk, I met with him that night, he met with us.
But it may behoove us to speak with him a little more and look at that MERS legislation, because one of the things I think he offered when our guys met with him was that we could work out something maybe where the state could at least manage our funds for us.
Mm.
Because they get much better rates, because obviously they have much more management, money under management, than we do. And they get a better return, from what I understand. So, I mean, that might be something we can look at. You know, we have a lot of expense here to manage, this $32 million. Their percentage is probably way less than that. And in fact, I know it is, because he said
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, it's just more money to
Huey?
use. So yeah.
Right, so.
The only thing I would caution there is our money is kind of set up very conservative, and as far as our alternative assets, because God forbid the market does tank, we really can't afford a negative 20 year. So working with Clearbrook, our goal with them is basically a really good year, we're doing high single digits, and a really, really bad year, we're doing low single digits. We don't want to go crazy one way or the other.
I think that's something that he may look at.
And that's the only-
because the state fund is not in that great a shape either.
Right,
I mean,
right.
You know, they're hurting a little bit. too.
Overall, they're well, but there are plans that are distressed. I just don't know how they
Right.
reconcile that.
That's what I was gonna say. My understanding is why they're doing this and willing to try to get this legislation is if they can get 8 or 10 towns, or cities, private plans and combine into that influx of money is gonna help them just for what you said, because they're not a very,
Well, it is, but they're not, I mean, they're not willing to take the plans out of the goodness of their heart.
Right.
You're gonna have to maintain your liability of your plan.
Yeah.
Now, the only,
Drawback.
question that's still out there is how do they calculate the liability of the plan?
Exactly.
I mean, if the calculation is such that, for the sake of using a number, $50 million number is your liability. You know, if it's a number that you could look at a bond for one time to cover the liability, and basically the town now makes all their contributions to the MERS system, you're out of the pension business basically. And there is no more, because the teachers are in the state pension fund, and there is no playing with the contributions. You either make them, or the state calls you and says, listen, you didn't make it last month, guess what?
Yeah.
Your state aid's gonna be short that
Exactly.
amount of money.
They have a lot
Right.
of leverage, which we don't.
So, and that's unfortunate, the taxpayers throughout the cities and towns in this state, which we're all taxpayers, they've all stepped up to the plate and tried to do the right thing, but unfortunately, politics over many, many years, from like 1998 until this 5-year plan, there was no 100% contributions to the ARCs. They made promises and they didn't make the contributions. And I was just saying in the hallway while I waited for you, the St. Joseph Hospital thing is awful for those people. And, we had politicians jumping up and down about the diocese not making their contributions. It's the same thing the cities and towns have done for all these years. Now why is it all of a sudden an issue with that one? It's an issue because that happens to be a private pension, not a public fund. But that's what I was trying to talk about with efficiency and transparency and all the other stuff I was talking about the last time I was here, is we need to start looking at some stuff like that, like maybe letting them manage the money, or the MERS system. I know there's some issues with it because of the active employees, their benefit is different at the face. But if you read the legislation, there is ways to change those benefits. It will cost you more as a contribution, but you can do it. You just have to pay more for it. So, it's something I think we should really take a look at, because we are projected to reach these astronomical numbers here in a few years. And, like I said, the taxpayers have always done their share. We've always done our share as employees. Unfortunately, the politics that be over the years didn't do what was right with their share. So, I just wanted to throw that out there. I don't know where you guys stood on it. But
Yeah, but is it the unions that don't want to partake in the MERS, or is it the town council?
Well, the simple fact that the MERS legislation passes at the state level does not automatically put any city or town into the MERS system.
Right.
Because the MERS legislation, as I read it, is not meant for any one city or town.
Right.
It's meant for distressed cities and towns to take advantage of the fact that they may be able to move over. It's just, I think it's just a fallback, for us to look at, and I think it's something we really should get behind with our representatives, to put it as a tool there to pass the legislation. Like I said, it doesn't automatically put anybody into the system. That would require a vote of the employees, a vote of the town council, a vote of,
Everybody.
whoever's involved.
Retirees.
So, right, retirees.
All parties have to
Right,
approve. That's
so,
the way the legislation
It just
looks like.
comes to a point where it's just something else to have in the toolbox. And like I said, as part of that legislation, may allow us to get some benefit from at least having the state manage our funds for us at a much lower rate than we're getting right now.
Is that something that Central Falls did?
Central Falls went through bankruptcy.
Right.
They had a receiver.
Exactly,
and
receiver.
they have about 75% of their pension. But they are in the MERS system now, yes. But that
And
was
they're
a force.
flourishing.
That was a force into the MERS
Right.
system.
Well,
Okay.
police and fire are the only two that lost, because they weren't in the MERS.
Okay.
The people that were in MERS didn't lose anything.
Okay.
Right. So,
The night that he gave the presentation to those at the FOP, basically everything you say and what's in the legislation is right there.
And it's negotiable now.
Yeah. But the thing that, in some discussions I've had with a few people, and some of you touched on there, all right, when they figure what the arc should be, what are they basing it on, how they doing that? Like he said, the town, if we join, the town still has to meet 100% of that arc, and they have more leverage to enforce it. That will happen, otherwise they will do things to the town to make sure that
They'll
they.
pick up that portion each month that they don't.
Right.
It's kind of broken up to two sections, though. Your liability is covered, you have to take your liability up front. However however they calculate that, you're gonna have to do something to cover that with them. And then your contributions go to them, and the contributions, the ARC is based on where you may negotiate your benefits to. You know, for instance, if you want, police and fire to be able to retire younger than what the plan says, the actuary will figure out, okay, that's gonna cost you X amount of more dollars to
That
do
was the concern that some of us had when we talked about that, not here as a board, but I just talked with individuals, is how did they come up with that figure, and that was the thing. Cause if the way they figure out what the liabilities and what they are, come up with this ARC number, if it's not actually what it should be more, you could get hurt in the long run. That was.
Well, I would imagine they calculate much similar to the way.
I would hope, yeah.
Calculated. I mean, you have to take years of service and the amount of benefit and all the other stuff into account. I would say that they probably have staff there that handles this on a daily basis that is much more.
So to save a fee.
than we have. You know, I mean, and like I said, a lot of this stuff, and I get it, you guys sit up there, a lot of this stuff is way up here, compared to just a layperson who, we're all good with numbers, but some of this, calculations and future calculations and things like that, that's why people go to accounting schools and get MBAs, because that's what they get paid to do.
Right.
But if you got people who are already being paid to do it on a large scale, to take in 3 or 4 or 5 other distressed communities and manage their money as part of that scope, I think it just gives you a better. In fact, like I said, I think he told our guys it would be seriously less money for them to manage it than we would be able to manage it for. So it's a thought, and I don't know if you actually have copies of the legislation. It is out there. There's a Senate bill. There's a House bill. It's up there. I don't know where it stands at this point, but I have copies of them. If anybody would like a copy, I can get copies for you. It doesn't, I'd be glad to do that. But it is out there.
Okay.
So.
I have just a couple of questions.
Sure.
And a couple of
You're ready to retire.
Pardon me?
You're ready to retire?
Oh, well, I could be.
I was gonna get you a free benefit statement.
I'm gonna deny my request. This is my first meeting in probably a very, very long time, and the reason I decided to come was because of this article about our pension plans being in critical condition. And, we hear it as employees, we hear it, oh, it's this, it's that, and there was the 5-year plan and everything's gonna be okay, and this article really caught my attention because it sounds to me like the town is not making their required contributions.
Well, you must have been the only one to read it, because nobody else is here from your department.
I can't speak for anyone.
Well, I'm just saying, if
Right.
it was that
So
important
I
to them,
would
they
be-
would have been here.
Well, I've had conversations and I'll be happy to relay what
Please
information
do.
I find to them.
Tell them.
They should be.
They should be here.
concerned. So, be that as it may, is this a true statement? That the town is not making the required contributions and that they're only making 20% of the required contributions?
I think some of the things in the article may have been a little
That's
off, but the
right.
biggest thing was the date at which the data is grabbed from.
Well, there's some data that refers to 2017 about the investment performances.
Mm-hmm.
But where the contribution data, I did not see where that
Yeah,
was pulled.
and
don't know
I had the
what
same
year.
concern when I read the article, because I saw it as well, and I know that every time the actuary comes here, they say, yep, town made the 100% ARC last year, going forward, that this is the ARC next year, and they're gonna make 100% of that. But that's only as of, they started doing this fiscal year 15, 16, 17, and
Right.
we're coming on 18. So they've done it, as far as I know, the last 3 years. Why it says 1 year, I don't know.
Is there a difference in contributions to the ARC and the regular pension? I'm not.
No, the ARC stands for actually required contribution.
Annual required
Required
contribution.
Right.
So that's calculated by,
Set amount.
Yeah, the actuary comes in,
the actuary
they say,
determines that.
they run all the assumptions, and they say the ARC is going to be this much next year, and then the town has to work on that. They usually pay it quarterly.
Have to work that into the budget and get it approved.
They do that every year. They usually do the meeting in November, December for the year coming up.
Right. So that leads me to how would I find out exactly what has been contributed? Would I have to go to the town council?
We can
for
get
that?
you copies of the last few actuary reports, and that'll show you they've received X amount from the town.
Tracy, is
for the
that on
ARC.
the website?
That should be on the
What I'd
website.
like to see is the dollar amount.
Yeah, it'll have a
There-
dollar.
there should
And I'd
also
like
be
to see,
If you look for the NIHART reports
think they
on the
identify
website, they should all be there.
To be honest, in our meetings with the West Warwick Clerk, we have an attorney, and we've gone over all the contributions since the 5-year plan came into effect, and they have made 100% of their contribution for the last, what is it?
I think three
Yeah.
Three
fiscal
Last
years.
three fiscal years, this being the fourth.
Right,
Yeah.
we're about to finish
And
the
they have
fourth.
made their contribution each
So
year.
how does the,
Those
how
reports,
do these reports?
because they're based from 2012 to 2016. It doesn't have the actual 2017 number in
Right,
there.
so
which
I
is-
would just like to see something in writing.
Sure, yeah.
Just showing what was made and what
Is that on
dollar amount was
It's in
budgeted,
the,
so, and if whatever was budgeted was in fact.
Does NIHART show
It's
the
in the
town's
12
contributions in that
reports,
report
They
that's
do.
online?
It should be.
Yeah, it's in the actuary reports.
In the actuary reports that are on the website,
They're online, yeah.
You could
they're
probably-
online.
Actually, you could probably pull them up right now.
Okay.
Plus the
Well,
audit report shows it too.
Yeah. But again, reading it, I was like, what
Because
the
the-
hell is this? It says we're
Like the
not
clear
making.
book we read tonight, every one of
contributions.
those is posted on the website, on the
You can
town's
also go
website under the,
online and look at the
so you can
budget.
see all those
It shows
reports, the
the
returns each month,
each year.
and you should be able to see that information also.
And they reconcile, right?
Yeah.
On the budget, you
Yeah,
can
it
see
shows you
that.
how much
It's part of the
the
quote order.
contribution
So it's just gonna take a little research to get.
It is there. That article, I just think, is a little misleading, just based on it's some old data, and I don't know how much of it's accurate.
20%, I don't,
It is Providence
Well,
Journal.
if
but,
you-
That
know.
was the funded.
no, it's
percent.
WPRI.
Oh, it's WPRI, even better. Were they the ones that came for John
Fake
Hancock?
news.
No, I know about them.
No,
Because
but
if
I
you
mean,
go,
that can't- that
if you go,
information came from-
take in even just 1 year or more before the 5-year plan,
I gotta go.
there was no contribution. So
I know.
that's gonna make your overall figures drop right down. So even if you did 2 years 100%, you're working on a period of time where there was no contribution, it's almost gonna kill it or make it non-existent. So it's gonna show it really worse than what it is.
So I would like to see those numbers, so.
You
I can
should be able to look at online, all those reports, they're all there.
If we can't find them, I can get it.
Right, and the other thing that kind of dawned on me while you were talking and paying some of these bills is that, what's your biggest expense other than payouts to participants? What is your biggest expense?
Right now, I would say the redraft.
So,
Probably the
Well, I'm saying as a total,
No,
as an
the
item, so we spent so far from day one on it.
We just spent 27,000 for 1 quarter in investments.
Yeah.
In February, you had like $22,000 for the investment.
So that's
It's
probably
probably the investment advisors. They work on a basis point percentage for how much,
how much the fund assets are.
right.
so what was the biggest expense?
Clearbrook is they're the investment advisors, they invest the money,
It's called wealth management.
And they get a percentage.
right.
30
What's
The
basis,
whole thing.
percentage?
30 basis points, I believe.
I don't remember.
I think it's
in that.
It's here.
We'll do
I believe it's 30
20,000
basis
divided by
points.
so many million, there it is.
Is there a way to classify without breaking the attorney-client privilege to approve, what your legal fees are for?
We break them down on the agenda, usually by the file number, and clarify them to the extent we can. So the redraft is a separate file number. If there's a particular project that comes up, it gets a separate file number. So we break them down like that. But the general file that I was referring to is the 7372. That's why we call it that.
Okay, so I know, we have to go by that UCOA
2 months.
6 months, 12 in the last 2 months. Is there a way to get a list of your expenses for this fiscal year? Other than to go through the minutes?
I do them quarterly for the board. I do everything quarterly, right? That's what you, I sent you.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was the,
Quarterly.
the ex-
You just,
the
I
spreadsheet.
don't know, yeah.
Yeah.
Fiscal year, I don't have it, I did
I don't
calendar,
really have a big,
I
but
don't
I
have
did
it for
them
the fiscal.
quarterly.
I would like to see what the dollar figure is for all of your expenses from July 1 to June 30. I don't know how to.
That's actually, if you wanna look at every year too, that's also in the actuary reports.
Right, they're all broken, once you look at the NIHART report, it breaks every expense the board
Yeah.
has in that year report. It's all reported in there every year by NIHART.
And that would be
So-
fiscal,
so
right?
Fiscal.
It's fiscal.
That
Yeah,
would
so
be.
And they
it's an annual
report, they
report.
usually come in either November or December, and they give a big presentation, and you're welcome, I encourage you to come and bring people and question them.
Exactly.
Because it's not usually a
No.
well-attended meeting,
Out
but
of all the meetings, that's the best one to go.
that
to.
is the best
Yeah,
meeting to
you-
go
you
to,
get
is the
a
one where
breakdown of
NIHART
everything.
comes, because they have every number.
Yeah.
Okay. The last thing is a comment. I waited for 50 minutes for this meeting to start. I find that unacceptable. If you have a set time for a public meeting and you postpone that for that amount of time, it's really disrespectful to the people who have come to this meeting.
I've been here since 5 o'clock.
I can
6
see that
o'clock
you're all
I've been here.
tired, believe me.
And
I
I've been
can
here
see
a
that you're
long
all
time, and I have
tired.
somewhere to go.
It's not by
very
choice.
important right now. It's regarding my son, and here we are with all these questions. I think we spent enough
Well, I
time.
could go on and on.
I know, but you could come back another time. It's the first time we saw you.
Well,
Come on now.
you know, if you had started the meeting on time, I'd
It's
probably
nothing to do
be
with
here
meeting
by
to
now.
set the meeting on time. You could come out more than one meeting. It's your
I
first
plan
meeting,
on it.
and I know you're gonna list of questions, and I respect your questions, but come again, and we'll answer more questions for you.
I fully plan
Okay?
on it.
We have a life too.
Well,
I don't
well,
think
the only
rude.
thing though
That's
is,
pretty rude for
It's
someone
not a
to say on
rule,
this
but come on, I've been here a long
Well,
time, I
I
have a very
understand.
important meeting with my son,
All right,
very important.
I understand you guys have got a lot of stuff in executive session, but the last meeting, we were up here for like 45, 50 minutes.
Well, I try to stop it,
So I
try to
don't
stop
know
it.
if we should, you know.
We are adjusting, actually next month
Too
we'll
long.
give it
you
2
can
hours.
adjust and just, whatever.
Honestly, before, we used to do,
It was
We
in
used
the
to-
middle of the meeting.
Yeah,
we used to do it in the middle of the meeting, it was just foolish. We would start the meeting, we'd go into
That's
executive
for
session
everybody
almost
else, yeah.
immediately, and then you'd be out in the hallway for however long. And we got comments that that wasn't fair, so we said, all right, well, we'll start the executive session before the regular meeting, we'll give it an hour, then we'll do the regular meeting. That way people aren't showing up and then waiting. And obviously, we're finding that that's not really working so well either. We're trying to figure out how much time we need to spend on executive session. We're gonna try and get better on it.
we agree with you.
People who are attending this meeting in a public session, that's not fair to them.
We agree with you, we understand,
We're-
believe me.
we're
It's just
actively
hard to
working on
figure
it.
out how much time to set for an executive sessions for when it starts, so that we can make sure it ends, so we can do the regular meeting on time.
Because on the other side, if we leave too much time for executive session, then we're just sitting here. We can't start the public meeting early. So if we set it for 3 o'clock this afternoon, and then it just was over in an hour, we have to sit here for 4 hours and wait for 7
Well,
o'clock.
if you're looking at that, we'd appreciate that.
Yeah, no, we are. We are gonna try. I think the best thing to do is honestly get executive session.
For 2 hours.
We can try 2 hours, but even
Yeah.
month to month, look at it and say, all right, how long is this gonna take?
Right.
Is that gonna be 20 minutes? Is that gonna be 5 seconds?
Right.
Right now, it's heavy.
Right, and then, you know.
There's some things that you have to go through, if you don't, it just,
But there are also public meeting notices and so forth that find
it's like you take time out of work to go to the doctor, you're there 10 minutes before your appointment, and he doesn't see you for another 45 minutes. And now you've taken more time out of work than you planned, and you gotta answer for it when you get back. I understand exactly where you're coming from. It's unacceptable. So,
We apologize, honestly. From me, I apologize. I wish we knew exactly how long executive session would take, and believe me, I wish it was an hour instead of an hour and 45. because it's not by choice. We do have to get through some of this stuff, but we will try to be better at judging that time. And like I said, this is a new change. We used to just say the meeting starts at 7, and executive session will take as long as it needs to, and you can just wait out in the hallway until we're done.
And
which
that
obviously
wasn't right.
wasn't fair.
That was terrible.
So this is a little bit better, but obviously we
It's
need to
better.
get it.
It's better.
We need to get it a little
Well, you
closer
tweak
to
it.
what it needs to be. So again, I am sorry. I apologize. We'll
Thank you.
try to get a little bit. Try to get a little bit better.
Okay, this is only
Two. Well, at
We're
least
trying.
we'll do 2 hours next month. I
Third,
promise.
yeah.
And if we're a little bit early, then maybe we.
Is 5 gonna be too early for you guys?
I'd rather have it be a little early. It's just tough because we could do it at noon, but we have jobs too. So it's kind of like if we could do it way earlier, then we could do the meeting, and whenever it's done, kind of go home, do whatever, get something to eat, and then come back and have the regular meeting. That would be nice, but we kind of have to do it sometime after 4:30, and sometime before 7 because it's just to try and cram it all in one night.
Maybe you could meet twice a month.
I was almost gonna say the same thing with.
Maybe they could pay us to be on this board too.
Yeah.
I know you guys
Thank you.
work hard at what you're doing, just thank you.
Yeah. Is that it for public comment?
Is everybody done?
Make the motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and seconded.
Thank you.
Tomorrow night,
Plus,
5 to 7.
Was my agenda better?
5.
With
5 to
putting
7
Tuesday,
and the-
5 to 7 is the plan
Right.
tomorrow?
Yes.
Yep, and the town council meeting after